Hello viewers, hope you're all doing good. Welcome to this video. My name is Nawaz and you're watching NXA, the Linux Guy channel. So today let's see how to set up an AWS code commit and how to set up HTTPS and SSH credentials to access your code commit repository and pull and push your changes back to the repository. So AWS CodeCommit Repository is a Git-based secure repository which you can use in your pipeline or software development lifecycle. You don't have to configure or set up your own source control system, so you can make use of AWS CodeCommit, which is Git based and which is secure, and you can do all the things that you can do with the Git repositories like git pull, push, checkout, tag, merge, request, and so on. So that's what we are going to do in this video. So let's dive straight in. So here I'm using the admin account. I'm not using the root account which was created when I first signed up for AWS. This is a separate account that I have created with full admin access. So if I go here, there you go, NXA. So this is a separate account which I have created. Probably in my second video I've showed you how to create an admin user in AWS. Right, so it's always a good practice to not use your root account for anything. Okay, I'm going to search for code commit. Code commit. There you go. So code commit is a part of code pipeline DevOps tools. So you have code build, code deploy, and code pipeline. So I'll be doing a separate video on a very simple demonstration of pipeline very soon. You can expect that probably in my next video, maybe. Okay, so before that, let me show you the IAM user. So if I go into services and on IAM, here on users, this one, and there you go, administrator access. So as I'm using the admin user, I don't have to configure any specific permission or anything because admin user has full access to the code commit service or the code commit repository. But if you are trying to use existing user, or if you're trying to set up a new user, you need to make sure that the user has appropriate permission to access the code commit repository. So here if I show you the policy of the admin user, and here filter code commit, there you go, the code commit, full access to all the resources. Okay, so let's just assume that this is just a normal user. So what you have to do is add permissions, attach existing policies directly, and here search for code commit, and there you go, we have AWS code commit full access, which is full access to the repository, AWS code commit power user, which is similar to the full access role except that it won't let you delete the repository, and obviously we have AWS code commit read only. Alright, so depending on your needs, attach any of these policies to the user that wants the access to the code commit repository. Okay, so let's go to code commit now. And here I'm going to create a repository. Repository name, so these were taken. I'm going to use this first repo. Description is optional, tags are optional, but it's always a good practice to tag all of your resources in AWS. Anyways, create, and the repository is created. So there are two ways to access your repository from a terminal. You can use HTTPS protocol and you can use SSH protocol. I will show you both the methods here. Whichever works for you, you can use it. So if I go to repositories, and there you go, we have HTTPS and SSH. Ignore this for now. So if I click here, the link is copied, but we need to configure Git credentials in AWS Management Console before we can access it. So what I mean by that is, if I go to my terminal and if I do git clone this URL, so it's going to ask me for my username and the password which we don't have, right? So first we have to configure the Git credentials. So let's do that. So if I go to my browser, So let's generate the credentials. For that, go to IAM, users, and under security credentials, if you scroll down, there you see HTTPS Git credentials for AWS CodeCommit. So let's generate the credentials. And that's done. So make sure that you store your password somewhere securely, because this is one time. So make sure that you save it in a file and store it somewhere securely, or you can also download the credentials, which will be in .csv format. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy and paste the username here, and copy the password from here, paste, and I'm going to close this, and I'm going to open my terminal and move it down here. So let's clone the repository. So git clone this repository, the username is this, and the password is this, paste, enter. Okay, so that's done. So if I go to first repo now, ls, there you go, the repository is cloned, and now I can use any git command here. So git status on branch master, nothing to commit. So let's create a file. So echo, let's say hello people, and first file. Okay, that's done. So git status, okay, git add and git commit the message, added the first file. That's done. If I do git status, okay, so the branch is clean. So now I can push my changes to the repository. So for that, I can use the command git push, and that's going to ask me for the username and password. So I'm going to copy the username, paste it, and copy, paste, and there you go. So let me close this, and I'm going to move it on the side. So if I go to my code commit, let me move it to my second workspace. So code commit, first repo, and there you have your first file, and it says hello people. So that's how you push your changes using the HTTPS protocol. But as you see that whenever I try to clone and push my changes, so it's asking me for the username and the password, which is kind of pain. So that's not an ideal solution if you are frequently interacting with the code commit service in your daily life. So SSH provide an easy way for that. So you have to create the key pair and upload your public key to the AWS, and it's not going to ask you for the username and password. So let's do that. So what I'm going to do is, here I'm going to delete this directory. So rm-rfv first repo. Okay, so that's gone. So let's do that. So I'm going to create a key pair. So for that, let's go to my home directory and to the SSH, and if I do ls, I have already created the key pair from my previous demo before recording this video, so I'm going to delete that. So rm-rfv. Okay, so that's gone. So also one more is here, so AWS CodeCommit.pub. Okay, so that's gone as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a key pair. So SSH Key gen -t RSA or DSA -bit 2048, which is default, I guess, and output that to a file AWS CodeCommit. Okay, file name is AWS CodeCommit, no passphrase, and if I do ls, there you go, this is the private key and this is my public key. So I'm gonna upload this to my AWS. So I'm gonna cat AWS not car this, and I'm gonna copy this, and here if I go to IAM, here on users, and under security credentials, if I scroll down, there you see SSH keys for AWS CodeCommit. So I have to upload it here. So I'm gonna paste it and upload SSH public key. So that's done, and this is the identity which I want. So I'm gonna copy that, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use, let me show you. So this is my private key and public key for general purpose, and I'm gonna use this private key and public key for specifically interacting with the AWS CodeCommit repository. So for that I have to edit this config file. So vi config, and here I'm going to create another host. So okay, my bad. So host, I'm messing up. So host, and I want to say that any host that starts with git-codecommit and ends with Amazon AWS.com, use this user, which is this, and use the private key because we have uploaded the public key to the AWS, so it has to know the private key. So use this private key which is inside my .ssh and AWS CodeCommit. There you go. So let's close that. So now let's test the connection. So if I do SSH Git minus code commit minus US East 1 dot Amazon AWS.com, enter. Okay, so what is this? Use, and this is dot, so enter. Yes, there you go. You have successfully authenticated over SSH. So now I can clone my repository using the SSH. So for that we have to go to the CodeCommit repository and copy the SSH URL. Here copy the SSH one, and let's go back here, and if I do git clone this, as you see, this is the SSH URL, enter. That's it. There you go. We have the first repo and we have the first file, right? So that's how you use the SSH protocol. Now if I try to add another file, so I'm going to use, let's say, edit this first file. Hello people, I am Nawaz. Close this. If I do git status, okay, you can also see that there is one changed file. So git add and git commit with a message, edited the first file. Okay, that's done. If I do git status, that's clean. So if I now do git push, it's not going to ask me for the username and password. There you go. So we have successfully pushed our changes back to the repository. If I do git remote -v, there you see that the URL is SSH. So if I go to my repository, first file, and there you see, hello people, I am Nawaz. Alright, so that's all I wanted to show you in this video. You can either use HTTPS or SSH protocol based on your need to interact with your AWS CodeCommit repository. The things to remember is that the user that you are trying to access the code commit is that the user has the permission or the policies attached to that particular user for code commit. So since I'm using the admin user has full permission, full access to those services. So if you're using a separate user, so make sure that the user has appropriate policy to access the code commit repository. And about credentials, you have to generate the credentials for HTTPS, store it somewhere securely, or for SSH, create the SSH key pair and upload your SSH public key to the AWS, and then you are good to go. Alright, so that's it for this video. If you have any questions or any feedback, make sure that you leave a comment and I will get back to you as quickly as possible. And if you like this video, please share it with your friends and don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel. See you guys in my next video. Take care. Bye bye.